All right. Hear ye, hear ye. Let's call the quarterly meeting of the EastNet group to order. And let's start with going around doing introductions. And I'm going to direct the introductions based on the way I've got everybody's smiling face on my screen. So, Ted, we're starting with you first.
Okay, name is Ted, and call sign as you see, K1YON. By the way, I got the screen up. Thank you very much, Charles. Um, right now, I'm down in Florida. I'm a snowbird, and we have Node and BBS and Melbourne and Orlando and Claremont and Vero Beach all seem to be working well. Right now, the link in Melbourne seems to have a problem, which I got to check on. So that's the story in Florida, and in Connecticut, the node in BBS is K1YON. Seems to be working pretty good when I check it remotely. I guess that's the quick summary.
Thank you, Ted. All right. I'll go next since I'm the next one on my screen. I'm Brian, N2KGC, president of EastNet. If that means anything, it doesn't show up in my paycheck. So, but welcome to everyone. I'm glad everyone's here. A lot of you are the common participants, but we also get new people in and out occasionally. So that's why I do the introductions. Don, you're up next.
Don Goen, K1CMM. I'm a sysop for W1EDH in Central Connecticut. The routing problems that we have been all cured, and right now everything seems to be working fine, as far as I can tell.
Very good. Thank you, Don. Mark, N2MH, you're up next.
Well, good evening to the group. This is Mark, N2MH. I am in North Carolina right now. We were supposed to be on the road between North Carolina and New Jersey, but today's storms put the kibosh on that, so we're leaving tomorrow. I operate two BBSs, one in New Jersey, it's a JNOR system, and another one in North Carolina, my second QTH, which is a BPQ system. And other than that, last week we traveled to Florida, and as many of you probably know by now, I've been doing a thing with specialized radio receivers that listen to NOAA weather radio. We traveled to Florida last week, and we installed two of them, one in West Palm Beach and one that listens to the Fort Pierce weather radio. So other than that, we don't have much more to say tonight, and back to you, Brian.
Awesome. Thanks, Mark. Chuck, NC8Q, you're up next.
Good evening, everybody. Just like you said, Chuck, NC8Q. I run a packet of BBS in Dayton, Ohio, and I'm here to listen to what's going on. Thank you.
Well, and if those of you who haven't looked at his screen and his backdrop, Chuck is one of our ardent proponents, experts, and evangelists, I guess. That's probably the best thing to say, the evangelist. Wayne, you're up next.
Yeah, good afternoon or evening, everybody. Wayne, KA1VRF, up in Greenville, Rhode Island. And where it started to snow again, Ted, just for you.
Okay.
Stay down there. Good to see you at the Hamfest, by the way, Ted.
Yeah, good seeing you, Wayne. That was exciting.
Sorry to digress a little bit there, Brian, but yeah, as far as packet goes here, I just have mine going up here, and if I digi over to Brockton or to Brock and then to W1EDH, I make it to Florida. So everything seems to still be working okay.
Excellent.
So, North Smithfield's not up and running yet.
I'm glad to have you here.
Thank you, sir.
Pat, you're up next.
Good evening, everyone. Pat, WB2CMF, sysop of my own node. I'm the sysop of the WA2PNU node up in Huntington and the W2KPQ node in East Meadow. I help out with Ted down in Melbourne and his own node up in Connecticut. And if it sounds like I got too much on my plate, you are correct.
Thank you. All right. Frank, M2UMC. Go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, good evening, all. I've known Charlie for 30 years. only been a general for 2 of those. And he's dragging me kicking and screaming to be able to do packet over the radio as opposed to internet and other things. We'll be attending a small ham fest on Saturday. Hopefully pick up a few little trinkets to make all that possible. And that's all I got for now.
Well, we're glad to have you here, and the reason, and Glenn and Charles will talk about some of the exciting things we're doing with doing it on RF again, and so gets us back to the old days. Sperry, you're up next. M4CSD.
Yeah, good evening, folks. Sperry and Force D here in Virginia Beach, Virginia. I've got a TPRFN BPQ node running, and I help out the folks with the Tarpon folks here in our corner of Virginia. And also got a GOES 19 satellite downlink, so I've got all kind of weather information, mostly for the local folks.
That's awesome. I need to build mine too. I've got all the parts pieces here, but that's good. And I must be we didn't get to Jason to find the time tonight, but that's okay. Good to have you here, Sperry. I'm always happy to have you here. Brian, W1BKW, it's up. You're up.
Good evening, all. W1BKW, Brian in Maine. I'm just a student here, just trying to suck it all in.
Well, it really sucks here, so you can suck it in too. Sorry. I'm forever a wise ass. I'll always have a smart ass comment about something.
Yeah, it's something to do with the name.
Your point. Good point. All right. Glenn, you're up next, and then you're going to have a lot of the floor.
Good evening, everyone. Glenn Allison in 3MEL. I'm in southeastern PA, 25 miles west of Philly. I run a BPQ system here and a bunch of other stuff. And I am the southeastern hub for the TPRFN network.
Very good. Thank you. We'll give the floor to you in a few minutes. Let's see. Jim, KY2D, you're up, young man. You're on mute. You're on mute, Jim. You're still there.
There we go. Sorry, I was on another call. I mean, net, CW net. So I'm a little bit late. You just doing general introductions, Brian?
Yeah, that's all we're doing now.
Okay, Jim Coach in Maine. Run the Eastern Area Hub for the Digital Traffic Network on HF and on 2 meters.
Good. Well, welcome. We're just getting going. Paul, K1YZC. Go ahead, sir.
Yes. Name's Paul, K1YZC. Run a BPQ node up in Southern Connecticut, and I work with occasionally with Don with the W1EDH. And since our last quarterly meeting, with the assistance of Mark N2MH and Charles N2NOV, I was able to correct some of the errors I had, and so far I haven't gotten a email from Charles saying, "What the heck are you doing?" So I guess it's fixed. So
the flogging worked. All right. We'll
yeah, the one thing, since the snow finally melted up here, we're going to try to make a HF antenna. We have all the components, and then I'll get with N3MEL and see about getting a link in Connecticut for his network.
Awesome. Excellent.
Yeah. Yeah, Brian, I want to give Paul a credit for he gave me a lot of help in fixing the problems we had at W1EDH. So I want to thank you, Paul, for that. That was great.
Excellent. Well, that's why we're all here. That's part of the thing that we're here is to help each other. And we've got like-minded people scattered all over creation, but they've got the technical knowledge. So many hands make light work.
Yeah, well, he helped me a great deal. So thank you.
All right. Charles, I'm skipping over you for a second. We're going to go to Adam. W3TV or VTU. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Good evening. I guess I'm one of the newer guys on the block. I set up a legacy station in Central Maryland about a year ago, I guess. Lance helped me get it set up. So Here to learn and support you guys any way I can.
Awesome. We're happy to have you here. The more stations, the
Yeah.
better.
That's right. That's right.
Charles, N2NOV, under the guise of WC2 OEM. I'll give you a couple minutes and then I'm going to give it to Glenn.
Yeah, no problem, Brian. Yeah, WC2 OEM is the club call sign for New York City ARIX. So I pre-programmed that on my phone because I'm using my phone to enter the chat tonight so that I can have my laptop doing what it's supposed to be doing and bringing up web pages so I can refer to them as we go through tonight. I run the N2NOV packet BBS system in New York City. It's been running JNOS since 1997 when it started off as DOS in a Windows 95 window, and it's been running Linux now for 20 years. We have our RF port on there with the help of Mark, and we also do WinLink access on the 145.770 frequency, as well as an APRS iGate and worldwide chat. So it caught the attention of a station that I haven't talked to in over 20 years. And he's doing some work with Red Cross, and Mark spoke to Joe earlier this week. And Joe's looking at it, and we're coming up with all sorts of ideas on how we could use it in working with Red Cross. And of course, you know me, I'm a crazy idea person. And this goes back to when I was IT at the phone company for 10 years, and then with the post office. I come up with ideas, we figure out ways of doing it, and we go forward. And as far as the nudge messages everybody gets from me every so often, that's only because of my professional background before I retired. And I used to write databases in Visual Basic, so things have to be exact. So when I see something that's a little off kilter and it may affect other people, that's when I send out a message. Back to you, Brian.
All right. Thank you, sir. Well, I'm sure we'll hear from you. All right. Well, one of the, as you read from the agenda I sent out tonight, I want to give a lot of props to Glenn and the TPRFN, and we're going to let him do an update on everything they're doing. And then we're going to talk about Outpost. And between he and Charles, they're going to be able to tell us a little more about that. But the reason being is that we've got users on the networks, but most of the users on the active packet network are node sysops. We don't have many average users. In fact, we might not have any if you really check into it. And part of it is because, you know, it's just those old farts that are here that know how to do things from command line and terminal windows. And we don't need the GUIs because we operated computers before GUIs were in existence. But we're a dying breed, and we've got to start teaching people how they can use the RF networks to use packet radio or packets, just a general term, but data radios, and not always have to rely on the internet. But we've got to get something a little more exciting and something a little easier for people to use with their computers and phones and all that stuff to get in to use these networks, because they all seize up and have, you know, seizures and fits to when they have to do stuff with just a command line and just have a terminal window. And that's not the way of the modern world, even though most of us here know how to do it that way. We've got to change with the times. So that's one of the topics that actually that's most of the topic of this quarter's meeting. And with that, I want to turn it over to Glenn, N3MEL, and have him talk about the TPRFN, all the great updates, the maps and all that stuff. And then between Glenn and Charles, they're going to talk about Outpost and trying to get people to use the networks. And I'm going to give it to you, Glenn. You got the floor.
All right, Brian, thank you. And it's good to see everybody tonight. Don, is it possible for you to let me share my screen? This is going to be a lot easier than looking at me.
Yep. Who wants to use it? I'm sorry.
Glenn, N3MEL.
Glenn, let me find him. Glenn. Make co-host. N3MEL, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you should get a thing that tells you your co-host.
I think I see it. Let me do this.
There we go. I see it coming up.
We're there. Okay. All right. Hang on. We're getting there. All right.
I like your
So,
I like your new graphic, by the way. This is awesome.
yeah, it turned out pretty good. Um, with a little help from Gemini AI. Turned
Clearly.
out pretty good.
Yeah.
So, um, so there's been a lot happening. I know I wasn't on here the last meeting. I was away. I sent some information up, but um, the network has, to my amazement, has been getting busier and growing slowly. One of the things that is most exciting right now is the fact that we actually have an RF link coast to coast with Vera HF. Now, that's not to say it has got some pretty big vulnerability in the middle of the country in it, but with Vera being the secret sauce here, it seems to it seems to help us out in that realm, and most of the time, with the right band at the right time of day, things are things are getting through. So we're pretty excited about that. But here on the website, we've added a couple of things that really show what the network's doing and where we are. One of the things is right here at the top of the screen. I've added a banner that gives you a quick look at what the network is doing. So right now you can see all hubs are active and it's green, and we have a total of 21 to date. Two of them in Puerto Rico are offline, so we back them out until they come back full time. Um, so it's a quick glance at what the network's doing. If you plug onto the website, it pops up. So
So that
um,
comes up with the TPRFM webpage.
yeah, it's linked to one of the map pages with a
Okay.
and we have an API that runs across, so it's live. And then if a hub station goes down for more than 24 hours, then the network shows a red flag on the map page, and then this will turn red and show you the call sign of the node that's not active.
Cool.
Um, one of the other things that we'll just get down the list the way the site's set up. We, obviously getting users and getting people to get online and start to do things always is a struggle, right? And having material that and getting people to be able to go. So we started a Let's Get Connected page, which is really a library. Um, and why is my screen going crazy here? Hang on a minute. It's trying to load. I think I'm axing my there. Oh, that's unusual. Let's try that again. Interesting. Hang on one second. There seems to be an internet problem with the website. How's that? Yeah, I've never seen that before. Let's give it a minute, see if it pops back. Get something. Let me get.
Like live demo to make your presentation go sideways, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on. Anyhow, we'll come back to. We'll see if that thing loads back up. Oh,
Yeah,
everything's down.
Glenn, if you have to use the slides that you were making.
Yeah, let me go over to that because I even have that up and running here. So let's so we'll come back to the IP 400 stuff. Let's just go down to the let me get down here. So we've already kind of gone over this. Wanted to show these maps, and these are much better live, of the health of the network and what a couple of the guys have created, and using the syslog from uh, Vera HF, and they've been able to extract this data that makes these maps. They're probably 5 minutes behind, but basically they're live. And this first map to the left here on this side, this is actually the hub stations and BPQ and what each hub station is doing. And their profiles are there. So you can look up and see what's going on. This is kind of a shot of the health dashboard, which is the one on the right. And up here, you can see what the network has done in the last 24 hours. So you can see that there's 384 connects throughout the day across the network.
Now those are on shared frequencies, correct?
Yeah, but the setup is that we publicize 40 and 80 meters so that anybody that wants to get into the network anywhere should be able to connect to one of the hubs in their region on those base frequencies. But the hub sysops negotiate and come up with what they need to do between their forwarding partners. So they're not always forwarding on those base frequencies. We're working on a scheme. We're going to have to change things out as we get busier, frequency wise anyway. So, the guys get better performance on different bands at different times of day, depending on, whether they're truly MVIS or not. And obviously in the center of the country, we're not. So they switch off and do their own thing. So
that's the question I was asking.
The network doesn't care. These maps don't care. They're reading the sys logs no matter what frequency they're on.
But I guess my question was more directed towards, it's not like you're on exclusive frequencies. There's other users, other modes that you guys are coexisting with. Is that correct?
It is, but this maps are showing you Vera HF only.
Okay.
So you're seeing what's going on, which is obviously the base of the network is Vera HF and BPQ.
But I just think it's key for people to understand that the TPRFN is coexisting with other users on those frequencies, and it's still working.
No, we are, and we struggle with that because although the symbol rate has changed, we're still obligated as part of 97 we're automatic unattended stations. So we have a small segment where we still have to be in, but yet everybody with a WinLink gateway or anything else can run any width they want to run, and they clobber right over top of us in a lot of cases. But
it's still
because we've been but because we've been here now we're 3.5 years in, and since we've been here, we're finding less and less problems that way. People have figured out how to kind of avoid us, I guess. And we don't have near the problem that we used to have with overlapping signals, but we still operate inside those signals. It was pretty slick to watch a wide signal on top of us, but yet we were still communicating with inside of it.
That is probably way too understated.
Yeah. It's pretty slick to watch.
It's good. Yeah.
This map here. So all the orange, all the blue dots are our hubs, and a couple of these green ones, they're green because they were active at the time of the screen capture. It means they were, or had just been active. But all the blue is the hub stations. These are 24-hour stations all over. We even have our first Canadian station up here who's helping Jeff with his link over here to Steve in Maine. And And then the two biggies are out here in Nevada and Oregon, these two hub stations. But all the orange that you're seeing are all user stations. Some are BBSs, some are users. Um, and those orange dots are growing as we keep pounding the pavement and working on getting stuff out there about the network. And Steve Stroh's been instrumental in helping us with some well placed articles. And Packet is being talked about again in a variety of ways. So we're happy to see it. The map down here in the bottom just shows all the links that are happening, and you can see that Packet Radio has generally the bulk of the country covered again, all with RF. Granted, now these out here in the center of the country, in the plains and all that over here, I mean, this is it's a vulnerability. But we have three more stations possibly coming online. One is in Michigan, one is in Missouri, and the other one is in Phoenix, Arizona, that are planning to come online as full-time stations in the near future. So, we keep picking them up one at a time, and that whole adage, if you put it up, they'll come. Well, that seems to be true as interest grows and people see that there's a reason to be part of it, then they're coming on board. And these two stations out here in the West, Nevada and Oregon, were crucial in enticing the West Coast to look at what we're doing, because there was nothing there. And nobody wanted to be the first one. Nobody wanted to put an HF station up, put it on the air, and then not have any users. And finally, a couple of guys got brave, put their stuff up, and it's starting to take off. And because there's a reason to do it. So why it's important to get stations on the air.
One of the things I did last night is KM6LYW, Craig Lampier, the guy that does the Digipy. I forwarded off your TPRFN report and your infographic to him yesterday. I invited him to this call, but in hopes that he will kind of get an interest in it, and maybe he'll do one of his YouTube videos on the TPRFN, and maybe that'll get some even more growth going on.
Yeah, I wonder what guitar song he'll play when he's introducing us.
Say that again?
I said, I wonder what guitar song he'll play when he comes on the air.
I don't know, but I told him that I like his bumper music. It's different.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I noticed there's one station in the center of Connecticut. What's that station's called?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know yet until I see whether we got a live map back yet or not.
KC1NBY.
That is up there.
KC1 M is in Mary.
November Bravo Yankee.
Thank you.
Let's see if anything decided to work again.
Yeah. I went directly to the maps, tprfn.k1ajd.net.
Hey, there we go. So let's go. We'll just pick up where we left off in live, because I want to show you. So this is the BPQ side of things. And why does this have to be in the way? There we go. So you can see it's a pretty busy map, and this is generally speaking, this is live, if you will. Well, actually, no, this map isn't. This is the last 24 hours. So lots of stuff going on. You can poke over and see who the call is. You can
Glenn, one of the things that I don't know if you're fully realizing, but trying to get the concept of the TPRFN across to people, their understanding and to grasp a new concept, visuals are a big thing. And maps like this start to get people excited, because they aren't going to go out and play with new technology, and they're going to be talking to themselves because they're trying to try something new. So
Right.
I think this is where you're getting all of a sudden this groundswell because you're getting the inertia is definitely in motion.
Yep. So what I'd like to do is like you can go in and you can fuss around with this map a little bit. So I can shut all the polling stations off. And basically we call everybody a polling station now. If you have a BBS, no matter where you are, and you're connected one way or the other, I mean, you're actually part of the network by default, right? It's just an ad hoc network. It all comes together. You don't necessarily, have to be a TPRFN, whatever, but you're part of the network. So we look at that. And I like to be able to shut this off. And then, we can add, these are 200-mile NVIS circles. And you can see how much from what, a year and a half ago,
Yeah,
Brian, when we were playing with these circles, how it's changed.
and no doubt, it's amazing. Doing it
And
awesome.
yeah, so some cool stuff. The other thing that's kind of nice with this page, like if you wanted to see, okay, well, where can if I wanted to go in here and see where I can find N3MEL, I can drop down to his call and I can hit. Now it's just showing my station. This is all the connects that my station's doing. And you can see it's obviously more than NVIS, but if somebody connects and it works, it works. But you can see the data of my station. You can catch the calls for the node, the BBS, and all of our sysops pages are in here. And they have a login information. They can go in and change theirs live. So I don't have to go on and change anything. It's all done live on the background, and then everything gets picked up across the website and everything else.
Is there any way you can show this map that's just RF connections that don't have AXIP or internet connections?
This is strictly Vera HF, Brian. There's
Awesome.
no this is all RF. There's none of the AX25 or I mean
Yeah,
AXIP or Ardent or Ampernet. None of that's being shown here. This is strictly Vera HF.
that's impressive to show, and I think you're understanding that. By the way, I like your infographic that you made. That really helps a lot. This is, and can you do the whole map that just shows RF? I know I had this
Well,
obviously.
I'll come back to that in a second. You
Okay.
can go through with any one of the stations and you can see that you can look at it live. So, there's 5 days and the lines get thicker the more the connections. And there's 30 days, and that's just my station. So it's pretty slick. And then the other thing you can do if you like the old page that we had that had all the bubble maps on it, I always like that, seeing what the Ver was doing.
Oh, yeah.
We have something that's a little different here. So what we can do, and since Sperry's on the call, we'll use him. So these are all stations that I've connected to in the last 24 hours. And if I go in here and I click on Sperry, it now brings up the data of my connections with him and what I've seen. So we've had 6 sessions. Our average signal to noise is here. We've passed 2 messages in those 6 connects. And I can go down and I can look and see the average performance and everything's going on. So you can look and see what a particular station's doing at any given time.
Glenn, let me stop. I want to stop just a second here. This is what IT people expect to see when you're talking about a wired network or a fiber network. And when you've got all these, this is amazing because it's over RF. This doesn't rely on the internet. And yet you're still able to do things that internet people and internet network operators are expecting to see. So, wow, you guys have really knocked it out of the park with this stuff.
It's come a long way. So now I can go back and we'll go back and up here you can see because I had clicked on myself, it puts me up here. But if we want to see all the connections, you can see I've had 62 connects. You can go in and see what my unique connects are, and you can look at any station and see what's going on in the last 24 hours. And see who's connected to me, what's going on. But then you can go back and just hit all hubs, and then there we are. It refresh, and these are these are all the connects across the network that you were asking about, Brian.
That's all RF, correct?
Yep, all RF.
Wow.
And then you can do best paths, and it starts to light up and show you who's working the best, where the data is moving the best.
This
some,
really
some reason I end up being in the middle of that, but
yeah, this really needs to get out to people that are like, ham radio's dead. We don't do things, we don't do anything interesting. I wish Steve Stroh was on the call tonight because this is amazing.
so that's the BPQ and kind of the back end of the hub station. So and then when you get back out of here, now I got to move everybody one more time, or don't I? Yeah, maybe I don't. So this is the health of the network overall, this report. So it's showing what's going on live. It shows 395 connects.
Negative 3.2 dB. That's below the noise floor. That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta love Vera, man. Vera's the secret sauce here for all this. There's no doubt about it. I got an email from a guy today, a 6 call, who was kind of rude about skeptical about the network and skeptical about this link from Nevada to the east, and saying, that just, it can't work, it can't be reliable, it can't whatever. And I said, dude, I don't really understand the point of your email, but I'm going to tell you that this works all day long.
Well, when you can
based on
prove it with
band.
data like this, you shut people like that up.
Yeah. And then you can go, what I like to do is, so this is the hub stations communicating right here with somebody. This is probably, I think this is Chris out in, no, that's another newer station coming on. Every day there's somebody new. But what I like to do with this one to kind of show what we were looking at before was, these are the hubs, these are who's active right now. And then when you go into this map and you click all stations, now you start to see the end user stuff, and what's going on, and that there is activity out there, and it's picking up. So you can look up here, you see there's 21 hub stations, and right now there's 40 polling stations. So there's 40 packet stations of what variety I don't know, that are operating right now in the US based on our network statistics.
That are connected in some way to the network.
Yeah. And then you go over here, and this, you're saying we're in live now, but then you go over and you do sessions, and then you start to see, because you add the connection lines back in, and you can pick up who it is wherever you want to look. So there's a lot of great stuff. And then when you go down here, some of it's not mind numbing, but you can get down here and what do you want to know about the network? You can get down here and it shows you how things work based on time of day, who's connecting to who, what their connections were. It's crazy what's here.
Can you divine out of this, or give a basic, like what obviously the internet world's going to say, is that gigabit connection? How many mega you're pushing through that? And, I want to tell people it doesn't matter if that's your only way of communicating, you're getting messages through, but do you have a basic throughput that you can kind of state?
Well, it kind of shows you here. This is the total up here.
Yep.
So the total transfer rate is, it's been 549.8 gigabits. There is trying to think where the bits per second rate. It's on here somewhere. I'm just not 100% sure where. Jump to logs. I forget how to, whether it, so it's showing you transmit rate, how long the session was. I'm not 100% sure where it is on here, Brian,
Okay. I mean,
but
it doesn't, I mean, in one sense, it doesn't make any difference if you're moving traffic. Is it real time gigabit internet over fiber? No, but
no.
yeah, you think about a situation like Iran that just shut down their full internet. They tried to do that shit in the United States. This could just usurp the internet shutdown.
Yep. And that, I mean, that's really that's the idea is really that all these little orange dots, initially when the initial talk of the network and the when Jeff and Dave Hale and for LQN and Brian in Delaware and I thought we wanted to do this. The initial thought was to do packet RF forwarding, hence the name, right?
Right.
But then it soon became clear that what a great opportunity to give people, in portable use or whatever, an avenue for connecting to the network and taking care of business.
Well,
And
that's
this
what's
is what has
amazing.
spawned out of it.
There's pockets of terrestrial, 2 meter 440 packet networks around the country. And then the TPRFN gateways bridge all those connected networks. And I think that's what you're seeing with a lot of the orange stuff. With
Yeah,
the
but what you have to, yeah, you're right. But you have to remember that all these orange dots are have connected to one of our hub stations via RF.
that's my point. Yeah, that's
There's got to be a lot more stuff out here of connected packet BBSs that aren't, they're either VHF or they're internet or whatever, and they've never yet connected into the network.
well,
These are just active connections across the network.
I mean, just this view right here tells me that this is now starting to go back to RF only and almost negates the advantages that everybody's been extolling about WinLink forever, including the fucking league.
Yeah.
So that's so significant. This does not rely on WinLink and the internet. Awesome.
Nope. 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 The web page does, but after that,
Well, it's just the visualization. If
yeah,
that all
right.
goes down, we've still got ability to move messages across the country.
Yep. And that's really, at the end of the day, what we're happy to have. So
And
that's kind of it on that.
comparatively, the infrastructure that you've co-opted everybody into doing is nothing compared to, like, you think about all the money that's being spent on the BEAD program and fiber to the home and all that stuff. And when we're looking at doing it, I mean, that's pocket change, coffee money compared to those projects.
Yep.
This is amazing. Wow, this is just mind blowing. And now you've got statistics to back it up.
Yep.
Even
Hey,
better.
Glenn.
Yes.
Yeah, if on the top there, where it says today, if you hit on 7 days, it really brings your map alive. I'm not sure if you've seen that before.
Yeah, there's so much going on, Sperry. I can't keep up with it. Between Tony and Jason down in Florida.
Then yeah.
Wow.
7 days. And then, I mean, essentially the country's covered.
That's just fantastic. Glenn, the team that you've put together on this was the old Envision NITA and EastNet network and all that stuff. Now we're going to have one of our detractors in the group that would say, well, it's not AX25, it's not traditional packet. I'll thumb my nose at those comments.
Well, I get that talk, and I say, look, it is. We're moving AX25 packets. It's the transport layer we change. It's AX25 when it's created and leaves the BBS, and it's AX25 when it gets back to the BBS and it's being displayed. It's just the transport layer that we've changed to make packet radio be thing again.
Well, and the fact of the matter is, all those lines of connectivity you see on that map right now, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Data's moving back and forth.
Yep.
Most people don't know how the links are all structured on the internet either. They just know that their data's moving. So there's no reason why we can't be doing the same thing the way you guys are doing it. And this is unbelievable.
And we're not, we're not promoting for anybody to change anything they're doing locally, right? We're just saying, look, we want to give you an avenue to move your traffic beyond your local region. Whatever you're doing locally, it doesn't matter whether it's Arden, Ampernet, doesn't matter. We can connect. It can be FL Digi. We can give you a port with BPQ to bring those pieces into the network if it is if it's a desire. I've had FL Digi working not too long ago, just for some testing, and it works.
You could be do the MBMES, NBEMS, right?
Yep.
You could do that.
Yep.
You could do RIDI. You could do RIDI if you wanted to, right?
Well, we don't. Let's just stop. Now you're getting carried away.
Guys,
RIDI's our nemesis. They don't care where they are in the network when there's a contest.
Yeah, one of the things you got to remember is that the demographics of the United States, 80% of the population lives from basically the line between Texas and Minnesota to the east. So that's why you see most of your traffic from there.
Being a mapping and demographics guy, let's quote that statistic properly. 92% of the population in the United States lives in only 8% of the landmass.
There you go.
Yep. And this map proves it, right?
Yes. The flyover.
So,
you see them, right?
Yep. So
hey, Glenn,
we're happy. I can tell you we're really happy. Go ahead, Mark.
Glenn, question for you. Do you have any kind of stats or maps on non-Vera traffic?
No. The only non-Vera traffic that we have is I do have on the website is the UK reporter. So you can go on and this is well, here you go again. So these are all BPQ nodes that are running.
No, they're not. Some of those are the EastNet, some of them are FlexNet, because I can see my note on that.
Oh, that's right. You guys can report there now, right?
We've been doing it. We haven't done a good job of it. Pat and I have play with this but
Glenn, that doesn't answer the question. Maybe I didn't state it correctly. How much traffic do you guys handle over the air that is not Vera?
Almost none over the air, because 300 baud. Some of the stations have a 300 baud that hangs off the side, but it's so darn slow that everybody's just finding it not useful.
Well, the trouble is not everybody can run Vera.
Well, I get that, and I there's only so much you can do. Some of the stations do offer 300 baud. I don't, because there's too much traffic on the East Coast that it just creates a bottleneck. Even though it's not centered at 1500, we've moved it up or down outside of the Vera. It's still the same radio, the same antenna, and it just has become a problem. So there is a few stations that run it, Mark, but most of us don't.
Mark, I think some of the stuff though is the fact that it gets just converted to all the IP traffic and the message forwarding and stuff just goes over that. So that's just
the trouble I see is that this is pretty lopsided as to Vera, which implies people having to run Microsoft. Now, how do you handle people that don't want to run Microsoft?
Well, we have users that are, so I will tell you that some of the users, at least, I don't know how it works on some of the other platforms, but if you're familiar, and I can't think of the guy's name off the top of my head, but he wrote the 73 Linux install program, and it people are having success now with Vera on Linux with whatever compilation of wine that he put together in that package. And you install that package and then go in and pick what you want to install out of that package. One of the choices is Vera. It's not wine, it's nothing else, it's Vera. You click on Vera and say install, and it installs wine. It takes it a while. It installs all of that in the background, and it works. So Linux, the door is opening for the Linux users. It slowly, but it's coming and it's working. And I know that the other guys have tried it, and there's things you have to do with wine to make it work right or something. Apparently, in the 73 Linux application, he's fixed a lot of it anyway.
Okay.
So we do have
Perhaps,
some Linux users that are running Vera on the network.
okay. But the problem
And
is
I only
that you
know
look
that
at
because they told me.
okay, you look at this map and it just screams Vera, okay, which
Yeah.
screams
This map you're looking at right now, that's
no, not this map. This is anything.
This does.
This map here. Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. I think on your website to attract people, you need to say that Vera can be run on Linux and then show them how or point them to
So
the way how to
that's
do it.
Yep, no, I agree, and that's what we're working on now. And as I had mentioned before, that I agree that is an issue. So if I go back over here, we're kind of done with the maps for now. I go back where I had left off here. Let's get connected. So we have started. And I got a couple of people working on this. I've done some of this on how to get up and running with different platforms and different ways. Um, and most of these links have video links inside of them. So that not only is it something you have to read and kind of comprehend, wherever there's an opportunity to have a video, and it's not one that we produced. It's typically somebody that's done something on YouTube. We've watched it and it seems to do the job. We'll put that link in. So we're trying to expand this library, and we're looking for people that kind of want to help with it to get some data put together. So there's a few people doing it, and that is one of the things that is on the list, Mark, for sure, is to how to for the Linux users and the Vera to use Vera and the 73 Linux program. It's definitely one of the ones that are coming very soon. You're absolutely right. I agree with you 100%. And we want, we're trying to make this as easy on people as possible, because a lot of people, and myself included, ask Charles, how long did it take me to get AmperNet running? I get, it all kind of glazes over after a while,
I'm
and
not
you need to have a
saying.
place to go and
I protect the innocent.
Yeah. So this is one of the other things, and we're looking for data here. It doesn't have to be about TPRFN. It can be packet in general. I mean, a packet user, like I said before, a packet user, if he's connecting to a BBS that's connected in one way or the other, their data moves across our network whether they know it or not, or whether they're connected or not. If they send a bulletin out, chances are we're going to pick it up and move it. So great point, Mark, and I agree with you 100%. We got to get there.
Glenn, on types of traffic that's passing through the VARA portion of this network, not your feeder AXIP, is it all traffic or just personals or what?
No, it's all U.S. traffic.
But it's bulletins as well.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. So
yep.
Do you have a mechanism for being careful that somebody isn't sticking a 30 kilobyte bulletin in there?
Yeah, in
the traffic.
Yeah, in the forwarding script, we have two options in BPQ. One, in the forwarding script, I can put a data limit, size limit in in my path when I set up my script. So I can control it there, or I can control it and say, look, I don't want my BBS to take anything more than that has more than, 15K of data. I don't want any message larger than that because they can't be handled. They're all right over the internet, but they can't be handled with RF. So I have two ways of controlling that. So yeah, we try to keep the messages, something that's reasonable to be able to send. So we're not sending, great big data files. So we can control that. What we can't control and what we'd love to control is a better timeout mechanism or a better option. Like if you look at WinLink has in their tri mode software, if you're running HF gateway, that it actually looks and you can set in there to say, look, if we have a bit rates, bits per second that's less than 88, we terminate. We won't take the traffic. And I wish BPQ or ultimately comes up with something for Vera in the command line to say, hey, if we got a really bad connection on HF, just terminate it. Let the message go a different direction where there's a better path. And we don't have that yet. So sometimes the network can get a little clogged, especially when the sun's doing its crazy stuff during the day, where it's taking much longer than it needs to or should. And we don't have that's the fly in the ointment we're looking for. And of
All
course,
right. Well,
you get the WinLink guys that have to get, a month's worth of tries to get a month's worth of, emails down over HF that have no clue what they're doing.
right. But in the BPQ, in the forwarding scripts, just like we
Mhm.
have in JNOS, you can put in an else statement so that if your connection isn't that good, then it'll take a different path. Do all the hubs
Well,
and
right, but we don't. What it doesn't, the problem with BPQ, and no matter which way we're going with it, at least right now, is I can have else statements in there, and I do. Um, I have them listed, but if it connects, it's going to try to deliver the message. If it can't deliver the message and it prematurely disconnects, then it can go in and pick another route. But if it makes that first connect, it doesn't care whether it's a good connect or a bad connect. It's going to try to deliver. And you can see here where I have an else connection. If it doesn't connect to Gary, um, we have another path to take. So we have some flexibility, but not. I'd really love to have a connection type something in here that monitors the connection and say, oh no, it's just not good enough to send a 5 kilobyte message. Try a different way. So that's one of the things we struggle with. Hub profiles, which you can get off that map that I showed you. We tried to condense this down a little bit, and you can go in here, and what we wanted to be able to do is you can go in here and pick someone, and let's say you're going to travel or you're going to be backpacking, and we want to give people the ability, before they go, and if they're a prepper or those kinds of things, you can go in here and click on this, and this is actually PDF. So it gives you the ability to take my information and you can print this off or download it to your computer or what you want to do and have this data with you so that if you don't have an internet connection, you're out in the middle of the woods somewhere, you're obviously not going to get to the website to figure out where things are. We tried to give an avenue from the website to be able to download this information and to make it usable at a later date. There's only so much you can do to get people to do it, but we give it to them to do if they choose to. So this is the exact same data that you can see on the website on the map page. And if they edit the map page and their information, this sheet will change as well in the background. You don't have to do anything to it. If I go in here and take my RMS connection off and save it on the website side, a minute later I can bring this back up and it'll be gone here too. So we're trying to bring all this thing and make it as automated as we can to keep the data the same no matter where you're seeing it.
Well, then it starts to clean up the old antiquated, outdated stuff
Yep.
on the web, like old BPQ settings and stuff. Yeah.
Yep. And then of course, the PACnet information, which is starting this week, starts another thing. And one of the things we're going to pay attention to again, and I know Mark helped us with this one time when we did this, we're interested to see check-ins from the West Coast, just how long they actually take now to get from coast to coast. And we can tell depending on who's in the link whether it came RF or not by looking at the ARP route. But we're going to see, because we've had connections that have taken 12 hours to get here from California for God only knows whatever reason, and so we're going to be paying attention to that this week. We kind of want to get some data on what's a reasonable expectation for the network to set for RF traffic to get from Pennsylvania to Oregon. Obviously we can't control the band conditions and those kinds of things, and we're looking to divide the network up into time zones now, and there's going to be a set of frequencies like the East time zone and the Mountain time zone can share the same set of frequencies, and Central and Pacific can share a set, and then in our forwarding scripts we can cross over and bring up another frequency, and just trying as we build out and get busier to take the load off of a standard set of frequencies,
Amazing.
which we kind of hit on later.
You've done an amazing amount of work with this. This is, yeah.
So we're picking away at it. Of course, the forms that we have on here that are text based, obviously packet needs to be that. They work pretty well. We have some users using those, and so that's kind of it on the network.
We're hover over that again. Let me see that again, because I want to do that distro. Oh, it's on no more. Okay.
So when you go up here and you click on this, yes, these take you to a link, and it opens in HTML like you're used to in WinLink.
And then it'll generate
and
the
then once you,
I can put that in.
Yeah, and then once you fill in all the data, and then you get down here and go generate, it gives you another box and it puts that data in, and now you just do copy, and you open up a new message or wherever you want to do it, and you paste it in, and it's a done deal. These forms can also, I know people say, well, again, if we don't have the internet, well, that's true, and then you can get down here and you can get the whole suite as a zip file, and put it on your computer, and then you can use it locally. You don't have to use it from the link in the on the web page. So again, trying to make it as versatile as we can make it, and trying to stay in the theme of what everybody's doing these days, and particularly WinLink with the HTML, and being able to open up your web browser and do your thing. People seem to like that, so if you can't beat them, join them. So that was yeah. And David LQN down in Virginia, who runs the WinLink Wednesday stuff, he's a PDF guru, and he made all these, and it's all runs on a JSON back end, and it worked very well.
It's clear that you have built a hell of a team because you've made leaps and bounds progress from what year and a half, 2 years ago we started talking about this with. So
Yeah.
this is amazing.
And the other thing we've been tinkering with, Packet hasn't had a presence on PSK Reporter in I don't know how long. So just for the heck of it, I wrote a code, and you can actually go on here and see you can actually see it on here. Of course, you can't see it in this map because I got to shut this crap off. And I think that's it. Yeah. So then you can see this is what my station's doing with HF. This is all RF connections. I took all the IP stuff out. I can actually add the IP in here. I had it in, but I took it out. So you can look and see that, I the Gary out in Kentucky and Tony and down in Georgia. So it's just something that I was tinkering with. It has no real use. I'm not going to make it part of the website, but it just kind of gives the old PKT a presence on PSK Reporter who hasn't been there in a long time. So just something I've been tinkering with and having a little fun with. It's just for fun. You got to have something fun to do once in a while. So yeah, there's a lot of people. This is not a one-man show by any stretch of the imagination. Um, there's a lot of people to thank for all the stuff that's going on here. Somehow I'm kind of the de facto leader, I guess, but um, it's just kind of by default.
You were definitely the impetus to get this going. So you have to.
So I will end it there unless there's some questions because I know you got some other stuff you want to go over. So I don't want to take up the whole night because I could.
Well, I'll tell you right now that a lot of what you've done here was the old vision of EastNet. It's been the vision, that anybody that's, interested in data networking and all that stuff with ham radio and doing things without the internet and all that. And when all the packet networks fell apart because people went to the internet, doing the Vera HF and doing the TPRFN gateways, started bringing that bridge back to these networks that were still working. And that's what I think is the amazing part, because now the inertia is definitely there to make it happen. It's just fantastic.
Very impressive. Very
Thank you.
impressive.
Yeah, Sperry's down there doing some cool stuff, and I mean, it's spurred I think, spurred a lot of people to get back in and figure some stuff out.
A lot of these
I think
newer
it's
hams
great.
that didn't do the old packet the way we did it, there's a lot of good technical experience to do things like, and clearly you've got that team firing on all cylinders to do this stuff. It's impressive. It is a good word. Do we want
Oh,
to move on to the outpost stuff now, or?
I'll let however Charles wants to do it. I know he was. I'll
Well,
follow his
you've
lead.
got Glenn. You've got some pages on the IP 400 stuff.
Yeah, you want to just knock that out real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah, touch on it real quick.
Okay. All right. Let me go back over here. So I've been working with the
You're not presenting right now.
IP. Oh, that's right. I shut that off, didn't I? Hang on. Oh, shoot. I gotta get back up here. Hang on one second. Uh-oh, he shut me off. You gotta turn me back on, Don. I'm sorry. There we go. Nope. I see the host tools now. Okay. All right. Let me shut this. So there's been some movement in the IP 400 world. I've been working with and Mark knows Martin up in Canada. Um, and we've been working on this IP 400 gig for getting KISS in it and to be able to use these mesh cable devices to use for, where in those instances where, Arden being where they are at 5.8 and all of that, in this region, this part of the world, RF connections with Ardens is difficult. And we're I got messing with these guys since the inception of the IP 400, and Martin and his group have been working diligently to make this thing work with BPQ and packet in general on AX25 and KISS. And 2 weeks ago, Martin and I typically on Sundays spend an hour on Zoom going back and forth about stuff and checking things out and testing. About 2 or 3 weeks ago, he sent me an email and said, I know you thought I forgot about you, but here it is. And he sent me the link to the firmware to add to these two Nucleolo devices. And these are just low powered devices. These are test boards that we've been using. And so we loaded them up. And
what's the power output right now?
These are milliwatts, 100, 150, just enough to have RF to be able to talk to one another.
And the IP 400 means it's the UHF band, the 440 band.
Correct. These are working. These are all operating on UHF. 100 kilo or 100. I'm trying to think. These are 100 wide. I think I forget now off the top of my head. But at any rate, so we've been struggling to get the KISS to work. We've been playing with it, and it just all the stuff was there, and I can tell you that there's some good things coming out of all this, because if anybody's familiar with Nino, that does the Nino TNCs, he's actually helped these guys get this KISS on board and working. And I guess the payback at some point in time is Nino's actually going to offer this in one of his TNCs at a later date. But we got it all up and we got it working. And this is just a kind of a short little video of it working instead of trying to connect it. So this is two different computers in the house here. Both are running QT Turn TCP, which has KISS and Vera and AX25 and AGW. Everything's in this. So I set up a KISS port. We have the one on one computer, one on the other, brought them up, and lo and behold, maybe here we go. See if it does it. This is not an expert video. I just wanted to show you that they do talk. So you can see they're connected. And this computer was upstairs. Just let it go through real quick. And this is KISS on both sides. And you'll notice on the left side here, once I hit enter, connect, and you can see that it connected over on the left, and then there's the data. And it pushes it right across. That's I'm just going to push this back, and then that's enough of that. But it is working. So we thought, well, let's go down and we'll plug this bad boy. I created a port on BPQ, and I said we're going to go down and plug this thing into the USB port and do a little configuration, you can see the message showed back up on the other side. And so it's definitely communicating.
And what kind of throughput
Go
rate
ahead.
getting out of that?
I don't know yet. It's fast.
Okay.
I can just tell you it's fast. I don't have any numbers on it quite yet.
Okay.
So we went down and I stuck it on BPQ on one of the other nodes, not BPQ itself, but on one of the BPQ nodes. I set it all, put it in, set the COM port and all the stuff you got to do in Linux, and it sees it and brought it, and it said, "Oh, it looks good," but it won't transmit on the Linux side. And with a little further investigation, that we came to find out that these those boards aren't flash for Linux or Windows. They have a firmware to take them to Linux, but I'm not. I chose not to do it because I'm not going to use them anyway. They don't have enough power. This is what I'm using. I have this. This is my setup here. I haven't installed the firmware on it yet. This is something that the IP400 guys made. This has got, I think this is 3 watts. This is 440. This chip on there is like 3 watts or something. It's got a little more power. It's going to be a little better for driving an amplifier. And they have one of those identified too that'll be fast enough to deal with this. But this is a Pi hack board. And what we're going to do, I think Martin and I this Sunday are going to flash this and get the IP, the KISS firmware on there. And then I should be able to get out and put this on top of the Pi that's running Linux, set the proper parameters, and we should have IP400 on UHF from Vera adding that port. They're pretty confident that this board's going to work, and I just got to get the firmware loaded on it. Right now, it's showing it. It's actually made just to sit on a Pi Zero, so that to make the thing, you could put a series of these out in the field somewhere, and they'll all mesh cable together, and you can do some crazy stuff with it, I guess. So I'm not going to go into this video. It just shows you how they communicate internally. But some great advancements on the IP400 as far as, KISS and packet radio goes. And kind of my thought was, I got all this VHF equipment running down there, and I've got they're very expensive 710 Diamond 710 X5 or whatever they are up the top of the tower. And I barely use the UHF side of it. And I'm hoping to be able to ultimately connect one of these devices and try a little of this over the air when we get this running. So that's the story on IP400 right now.
Awesome news.
So that's all I got on that front.
Yeah, Glenn, if you can forward me the information on that UHF chip that does that 3 to 4 watts.
Yep.
Sort of connected to this is that whole mesh core, which is the next iteration of mesh tastic. Trying to get circuit boards that do 433 megahertz, but I'm getting stymied by people who are selling these things saying, well, in the United States, you're only allowed 100 or 150 milliwatts. You can't use higher. I said, I'm a ham radio operator. I can use up to 1,500 watts if I want to. So if I could find this chip and have that integrated with something else that I want to do here to make little handheld devices that my members can walk around during a public service event or whatnot and have access to each other into the BBS, I think 3 to 4 watts would be perfect.
I'll send it to you. In fact, I have an extra chip sitting on the table out here that I have no use for. So I could even go as far as to send it to you.
Okay. Yeah, because there's a company called Lily Go that makes these handheld devices that look like the old Blackberries that we had in 2005, with the screen at the top and the keyboard at the bottom. And they default the chips for 915, but supposedly there's a UHF version, and you can stick an antenna on the top of the device.
Screen.
There it is.
T-Deck. Yep.
Yeah, so that's the project I want to go chasing down, because I think that'll find quite a lot of usage here in the city. 915 is just too crowded. We have too many non-licensed people and all sorts of commercial stuff gumming up 900. I'd rather have UHF and give ourselves a little bit of breathing room.
I'll send that to you when we come back to the Outpost. I'll share again, but I'm gonna let Charles take it from here for a bit.
Well, I'm going to need your screen for Outpost. Yeah, because what you've got in your slides.
Put me back, Don. Sorry. I'm trying to pass the torch here, but
yeah, right. And we're getting burned in the process.
all right. Let's do this again. I'm gonna move everybody out of the way again. So this might be easier again to do it live versus the damn slides.
You want to go to the Outpost page?
Yep. Here we are. It's up and running.
Oh,
this is Outpost
okay.
Live at my Outpost.
Let's talk about Outpost first as a program, and before we get going, a lot of people probably don't know what Outpost is.
Yeah, definitely. Anybody who's run email programs like Thunderbird or Outlook, you'll notice that it has a similar layout on the screen. So as the messages come in, they list, and then when you click on one, you could read the message and then reply to it, and do all sorts of other things. Outpost is written for Windows. However, back in 2023, Mark NI20 wrote a document, which is on the Outpost page, and it's on the hamgate.amber.org page, of how to set up Wine version 1.6.4 or newer will run Outpost. So people on Linux won't miss out. You can still make use of it, and it works very good, very well.
Let me back up a little. Let me back up a little bit more. Outpost, we're presenting this as a program that's kind of GUI that people should know how to use to be able to hook up a radio and TNC and connect and move messages on the packet network from a GUI type interface without being connected to the internet. We can use the packet networks, specifically connecting to user ports and digipeaters and such. So, all right, I'm done. Go
ahead. Okay. If you look on the left-hand side of the screen, the folder list, it's sort of like what some people have been running with. WinLink will do this. And of course, like I said, with Thunderbird and Outlook, you can have, different ways you handle messages coming in. You can even set up folders. Look what Glenn has done with the folders down at the bottom left.
If I click this, these are messages that I moved into that folder. I move them around so I can keep them and go back to them at a later date, to keep the inbox a little more less cluttered. So you can move them all over. You have the same options. This is your outbox here. If you got a message going out, these are the messages that I've sent out over time. Drafts. So it's all here. Typical email style deal.
The interesting thing about Outpost that I was, wanting people to see is that Outpost is a good program to put people in touch with bulletin boards and to read different message groups and bulletins rather than just email. Because if you haven't ever worked on a bulletin board system from back in the day and connected with your old Commodore VIC-20 or Commodore 64 and sat there and watched everything scroll by at 1200 baud, most people don't understand how to interact with a bulletin board and list messages, read messages, or, people wouldn't have had like old EastNet stuff or anything. There's a lot of data that moves around in bulletins rather than just emails. And Outpost lets you do that. Charles, have you guys had a chance to show us how that's done?
So let me show you in the back end. So the interface side, we'll start with that. That takes a second to load here because it's putting a lot of stuff in it. But let me just there's some options here as well. I use my setup here because I love over the air kind of stuff. So I have a Bofang HT sitting in a charger downstairs, turned on with a signal link hooked to it, and that's actually what Outpost is talking to. And it actually connects to my BBS over VHF, and all those messages that you see going on here are all over RF. I don't link across across the network for Outpost at all. So you can go in here, you can set up all kinds of stuff. I'm set up as an AGW packet engine right now. When you go in here, you can look. Now I have an IP address in because that's where sound modem is running. This is on the same computer. So it does require at least, I don't use the 127 local host because Outpost gets touchy about it. So I just give it the computer IP that it's sitting on, which is the same computer we're looking at. That's my port number we're probably used to. And that's really, at the end of the day, all there is to setting up for the way I'm doing it. Now you can see there's other options here. You can do COM port for TNC, you can do Telnet with it. And then once you're in there, you can work with all the prompts, and you can.
Well,
It's
Glenn,
really
go back to
customizable.
type. Go back to the type tab.
Let me get back in. Okay. Come on, you can do it.
Okay. See, if you set it up, if you look at the lower left corner, you see interface, and AGW packet engine is clicked. When you're setting up a new interface, if you click on TNC just like that, and then all these other tabs then come alive, so you can make the settings based upon what physical TNC that you have.
And that could be Direwolf, that could be an old.
That can KPC3 like Frank has, it could be anything. MFJ 1278. It could be any type.
Can it be VARA yet, Charles? That's what I've been waiting for.
No.
Yeah, so this is Outpost PMM as we always knew and loved it. It's not revised for the VARA days.
Not yet.
Okay.
But I was doing some reading about it as well, and Charles sent some information the other night. I mean, with some creative Linux code and a bridge, you can make it work, but it's really not what it's designed for.
Jim, your audio's real low. We're having a hard time hearing it.
Sorry about that. I had the microphone in the wrong place. It's not solving the problem that I'm faced with. I want a software package for message composition and sending and message receiving and looking at that isn't WinLink Express because to use with VARA HF. And the reason I need this is I have so many users that are getting the WinLink Express software so that they can use HF VARA, and then they're totally confusing just using WinLink Express as a message composition tool and WinLink the network, and they're misaddressing and they're loading stuff to CMSs instead of to the digital traffic network. So I'm waiting for a better package for mostly for Windows people, not like us that are sysops, but the average user who probably has Windows, so that they can have a composition program and transmission program other than WinLink Express for use with VARA HF.
Does PAT work with that? The PAT program, PAT?
I have not tried that. Is that Windows as well as Linux?
I know
I
it's
thought PAT was Linux only. Maybe I'm
Yeah,
wrong.
Pat is Linux.
okay. I don't
Well,
know.
I'm not gonna steal any of Sperry's thunder, but what's your what you're talking about, Jim, may not be too far away.
Good. I've been waiting for several years. I keep writing articles and publishing them in different places, trying to get the new user of the digital traffic network to understand the difference between the digital traffic network and the WinLink CMS network and the different addressing. And yet we're using a similar piece of, the same piece of software to do message composition so that people don't have to buy Pactor modems.
Yeah, but the talk about Outpost and was more.
Got it. Yeah, I got
but
really
they-
excited, Brian, when I saw this on the agenda tonight. Because the other one that we all knew and loved was Airmail, and that was a very simple thing to use. But again, Airmail doesn't use VARA or can't interface with VARA.
Okay.
All right, I'm done. Thank you, and sorry for the interruption.
No, Jim, that's that we like to have interaction.
Okay.
But this I wanted to, again, to get people interested in data modes and packet and stuff. I know Craig with the DigiPi is getting people to connect to, like, he's doing examples of, it seems to be all single frequency digipeaters in California. But to get people to connect to a bulletin board, not in flat out terminal mode, and and get it so that it pulls bulletins and stores them on the computer so that they don't have to suffer through waiting through everything at 1200 baud AFSK. Yet they can leave it running in the background, so when they come home from work, they can see all the bulletins of interest in their inbox, and they can reply to them if they want to. And it's like a full-time internet connection, although nowhere near the speed. And that's one of the things that, and most of the people on this call, because they're admins and sysops, they don't need this. But we've got to encourage just average users to connect to the packet networks we have built. And I think Outpost is one of those programs that could encourage participation.
Right. And you can, like you said, Brian, you can schedule this to automatically do connections. So
What's
that
running down here at the bottom. If you look
Yeah.
at mine down here at the bottom, you'll see I connect every 2 hours and pull traffic.
So you tell a little script what you want it to do, and it goes off and it does it. And they're depending upon which BBS that you're connecting to, there might be slight differences on how the command structure is, but that's not a big deal. We've already worked this out.
There it goes.
If you
Sorry,
go to
it's doing it by itself.
all by itself. Look, Ma, no hands.
And Glenn, when that's done, do you have it set up so that it connects to your BBS and pulls certain message topics?
It's
There, it's pulling them right now.
Yep. And then it's going to show in the inbox. This is cool. Great time.
He's not pulling everything. If you look at the L greater than sign, that's the subject, the to field. So he pulled the sit rep, he pulled the packet net, and that's all it's pulling down.
And when he's done, they'll show up as messages in the inbox.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So you can have this running 24 hours a day. You're not even paying attention to it. It's automatic control.
All right. This is showing a connection into a BPQ system.
Yeah.
Mayan. Yeah, Mayan.
Okay. How does it work with other How does it work with other BBS systems?
It works with PB and it'll work with JNOS.
Right. There's a document on how to put your JNOS into expert mode, so you don't have all the stuff on the prompt line and whatnot. It's just slight changes. The guys out in Santa Clara, in fact, Jim Oberhofer, the one who wrote Outpost PM, he belongs to that group. And that's what they do. They have a network of different JNOS BBSs surrounding the entire Santa Clara Valley. And he wrote the software so people can go in there and retrieve messages and bulletins and to put stuff in there. That's why there's also specialized forms in there too.
Okay, how does it handle areas in JNOS?
There's a box to set that up. Under the actions, you tell it which areas that you want it.
You can go in here and set all the prompts. You can set all the commands, whatever you want it to do. You can put any of your commands. You can make up whatever you need to do. You can write them in here.
All right. If you go to Retrieving tab, okay.
Okay.
So these are the message. These are the ones that I'm pulling down here, and of course my own. And it looks for NTS automatically.
Right. If you look at the bottom, Mark, it says custom retrieval. Enters a list of JNOS BBS areas and list commands.
Very nice. Okay.
Okay. Like I said, there's a document specifically that Santa Clara wrote on shortcuts and what things to turn off to make it work smoothly with JNOS. Everything is on the outpostpm.org website. Go download the latest version, which was from last June. The 3.8.0.9. That was June 25th last year. That's the latest version. And then the documentation there, the how-tos, everything's there. You can just pull the stuff and read it.
Like if it allows you to set up digipaths if something's going
right here,
computers and all that stuff.
Yeah, NetROM, node access, the whole thing.
Yep, it's all here. You can write it in, and you can have several. So what you do is you do profiles, and you can set a profile up for every BBS you want to connect to, and depending on which one you want, you can drop it open and pick the BBS, and do your thing. The only difference is when you're running it automatic like I do every 2 hours, it's only going to operate on the profile that you have selected. It won't do them all. It'll only do the one you have selected. But there's a lot of flexibility here, and it worked pretty good. Now that was over VHF, so you have to wait. The only thing that I don't care for in doing when running this is when you saw that connect, and I'm requesting to pull down SIPRIT messages, it lists every one of them on the BBS. And then it knows which one it has already read, and it doesn't pull the message in, but you have to go through the list. So Mark, if I were to put in there to list your weather bulletins today, we'd a whole meeting time would be pulling them down today.
Well,
Man, there was a lot of them.
Interestingly enough, though, like if you connected to an FBB bulletin board, it knows when last time you connected, so it's only listing the new ones since the last time.
Right.
BBS.
Well, I think the big question is, does it understand bids?
Understand what? I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Bulletin identifiers.
Yes.
All right.
Well, it knows what it read already. The thing is, it won't pull that message again because it knows it already has it by the bid.
All right, so that's what I mean. So it knows bids.
But it when I go in and it says, when you use the generic code that I put in here that says list sitrep, that's exactly what it does. It gives me every one of them so I get the one, and then it says, oh, okay, I don't have that one, so we'll read it.
Okay,
when you go here to retrieval,
but in JNOS, Glenn, if you've already seen the message and you do list, you only see the new ones.
And you do that if you're generically connected to BPQ, it's the same. It's the same. If I go in and it knows what I looked at the last time, and when I hit list, I only get the new ones. This program doesn't do it that way because it doesn't It doesn't understand what my BBQ header's giving it, saying, oh, you have 3 new messages since your last connect. Whatever, and that's nothing that I can control here.
There must be a way, because when I do it on FBB, it doesn't exhibit that behavior.
Quick question.
Yeah, Frank.
If Charlie wants to say it's not appropriate for now, that's fine. I'm in Charlie's BBS right now, and going back to 5 or 8 minutes ago, when you said people don't know how to even go through the basics of a single BBS, I think I'm one of those victims.
No, that's why we're talking about this program, so that we can teach people how to set this up so that you can get the information off there and not have to know how to run the old bit bashing command line stuff that we used to do on the dumb terminals on packet networks.
Right, because I'm in. I list all messages. I see 95 new. I said read 1 through 5, and it's like slam it against the wall and see what sticks kind of thing.
But Frank, all right, if you're in a specific message area in JNOS and you, let's say, out of the 95, you read X number of messages, the next time you log in and you do list, you will only see the ones you haven't seen yet.
Since the last time you connected.
I guess Charlie and I will go through it, since we're both local to each other. It's for another time, but
Frank, this is
I think I've had this same issue in the past, and Charlie has a way of doing things. I've known him for a long time, and I think I'm just thick and not listening.
No, and the thing of it is, Frank, that your experience right now in just saying this is exactly what everybody else that thinks they want to get into digital networking with ham radio is running into. And this is what we're trying to help get over that hump. It's a very real problem, and especially all the people that haven't been hams for 30 years plus, that we did packet way back in the day before we had the internet. They don't understand all of this, and they need something simpler. And that's what we're trying to get to.
I will chew his ear off on Saturday. I appreciate the understanding.
Yeah, that's where you might like what I'm putting together that Glenn has taken a quick look at. I love Outpost. I've used it on and off over the last couple of years, but the fact that it doesn't talk KISS really is not is a game changer for me.
Deal killer, right?
Deal killer, yes.
The only reason
I'm writing my own. So I'm writing my own, and if we get time sometime, I have to show it to you.
No, this is great because you're here listening to that. But this has been the crux of the problem to get any of the newer hams, both the young and old, that have been licensed since like 2010 and later, that didn't suffer through the old days of packet. They're underwhelmed and don't find any usefulness. They're like, the internet is so much easier. My cell phone and text messages is so much easier. This is fucking bullshit, to put it bluntly.
Well, you will like what I'm doing too, then. You have to take a look at it.
I mean, that's part of what we want to do to get people to use these networks. And if
I can demo it if you want me to.
Yeah, I've got a newer version of it here.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Give Sperry the screen.
It's pretty slick.
Thanks for your understanding, guys.
Oh, no problem. That's what we're here to do.
This is exactly the problem we're trying to solve, Frank. I appreciate that you spoke up.
So I have a question for Charles and or Glenn. Outpost can download messages, bulletins, whatever, from multiple systems. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
You set up the different profiles and you run each one.
Okay. Is it smart enough to know not to download duplicate bulletins or messages?
From multiple
I'm
systems?
I'm going to tell you it is, if the bids are the same.
So it does know how to recognize bids and will act appropriately on them.
it should. I can't tell you because I only connect to
Okay.
one DBS, but I can't 100%, but I'm sure it does because it's recognizing them
Bid-
from my system, so wouldn't know why it wouldn't on others.
Unless the bid numbers for the same message are different on different systems,
Well,
which they shouldn't.
Well, there shouldn't be, but
that
Well,
yeah,
happens.
if
well, that was the whole idea about bids in the first place.
right.
Right.
And every so often, somebody with some screwy system winds up sending me the same message twice.
Or they think they're doing somebody a favor by renumbering the bids, right? Because
I don't know. It doesn't happen that often. It's just once
Don,
in a
can
while.
you give Sperry M4D SD the presentation ability, please? How handy that you happen to be working on this, Perry.
Yeah, let's see how I can share this.
Oh, I thought I was talking to you and I had the mic turned off. Who do you want me to give it to?
Perry's got it. It
He's
looks
got
like.
it.
Yep. Are you seeing an app?
Yeah, we see your
Yep.
screen.
Yeah, I loved Outpost, but the fact that it doesn't do VAR is a deal breaker. So I started writing a program about 2 weeks ago after studying the VARA API for a good while and tinkering with it. A lot of this, are you seeing the whole app? I guess it is. It's highlighted. This is written in Electron, JavaScript Node. It's got a SQL backend, SQLite, and it's got more controls on it here, but mostly for development. I'm connecting to a VAR modem that's down in the garage, connected to a UHF radio.
So it's your local. It's connecting to your local VAR instance. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
You can set that in preferences where the VAR modem is, if it's on the local machine, and your call sign, the BBS. You can actually add a VARA Digi to it, which I've tested.
We're not seeing you do that pop-up window. I think it's not sharing right now.
Oh, didn't see the pop-up. Okay. Then I wonder how much of this you're going to see. Right now I'm connected to the VAR modem. If I'm connected to, you might even hear it, connected to the BBS.
Well, if you go back to the share box, you can tell it which windows you want to share.
Sometimes there's pop-up windows that doesn't show them, Charles.
Okay. Well, let me try a bigger pop-up. Is it seeing the modals?
There we go. Compose BBS message. We got it.
Yeah. Okay. The preferences was that, yeah, that's from the Windows menu there. But I'm now connected to the BBS. If I want to list the new messages, I've added a couple of buttons. I'm thinking of making those customizable. But right now it's going out and getting the list. I actually haven't been on for a while, so.
Is this bid aware, the bid number aware of the bulletins on the BBS relative to our conversation about Outpost?
Say that again.
The bid numbers, the bulletin IDs. That's what Mark was talking about when he asked about Outpost, so that you'll know that whether or not you've looked at a bulletin already, so you're not trying to do it again.
Probably not.
BP,
Since I'm writing it, yeah.
BPQ will know that every time he lists. After he does this, he won't get this message again unless he does an LL and requests a number of messages again. BPQ handles that pretty well here.
Okay.
Yeah, if I get out of this and do a list new again, it will just show me the ones that happened in the last
that's
few
pretty
minutes.
As fast as those. That's pretty zippy.
But that was a big list. At 1200 baud, we'd be back in 20 minutes to get this list. If you want to see a message, you click on it and it's going and downloading it. And there's a message from Tony, or I sent something I sent to Tony. Tony down in Atlanta wants weather bulletins for his area, so I forward many things per day to him. If you want space weather, click on it. The thing I love about VARA is the speed.
So is this VARA HF or VARA FM?
VARA FM, that was at 40 bits per second. So it was not the fastest, but it was a short message. But there's the solar guesses for the next 2 days. So just started on this. If you want to send a message, if it's a personal message, which are there any in here?
Can you just hit a reply to any of those?
Yeah, you just right click and reply.
Oh, look at that.
And it puts in, yeah.
Private or a bulletin. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Nice.
Let's see. This mine is probably too much stuff. Yeah, a lot of housekeeping.
Nice.
Um,
Jim, are you seeing this? Did Jim drop off? Son of a gun. Really? We lost Jim. He's the guy that should have seen this.
That's exactly what he's looking for.
Yeah.
Exactly what he's looking for. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, just put it on the mailing list.
All this,
Let them know
all
that
this
it's there.
monitor, yeah, all this monitor stuff is mostly for me debugging, and you can actually turn it off, give you more of a screen for your message lists. What I've been working on the last few days is, at the bottom line here, any BBS command that you want to type, you can do it manually. If you want to list the last 20 or something, or anything the BPQ does.
Yeah, and that's cool too, because you can just do whatever you need to. But again, so many of these people that aren't familiar with BBS environments,
yeah,
that's been part of the burden in getting people excited about this. But this is amazing.
Yeah, if you want, you don't remember the BBS commands, there they are.
Look at that.
And I've tested it, and it works with HF as well.
What I'm working on now is
yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
How's that work? Let's see. Go. Click it. Please click it.
Yeah. All right. There's the list of
Look at that.
what's not much on the server out there, but
most BBSs shouldn't have a whole lot of stuff on them.
But if you let's see. Yeah, if I click on one of these, it'll fill in the file name. You can browse.
Are you saying
that probably
download it too? Okay, yep.
Yeah, that probably is not showing up. I don't know, but you can pick which directory. Yeah, and hit start and it. Yeah. I would not recommend this over VARA, but if you wanted a hurricane track image, you could download it.
If you can code a little warning message saying, "Hey, this is a large file and over your connection," it probably isn't recommended you try to download this, right? If it senses what your connection rate is, but this is awesome. Yeah. This was an added bonus to the agenda tonight we didn't count on. Wow, that's zipping right along.
What's it downloading a 35K file or something? But yeah, since we got so many WinLink users that are using VARA, and both UHF and VHF VARA ports on my BPQ BBS I'm hoping I get some people interested. I got a couple beta testers in town that are messing with it. But
Wow, Perry, this is great.
that's what I've been up to.
Slacker.
I need to write the YAP upload, but I haven't. Yeah, it's been a work in progress. It's about 3,000 lines of JavaScript so far. AI is helping a little bit.
Yes, AI is a wonderful force multiplier, I've found.
Yeah, teaching me some
And
JavaScript that I don't
one of
know.
the suggestions, the AI is great. Like if you write it all in Python and want to convert it to something like Rust, it's a wonderful tool to do that too.
Yeah. I've added a couple of things recently, Glenn. If Vara is going to time out here. I forget what the timeout is on it. With no activity, if it's a minute or 30 seconds or something, it'll disconnect from the BBS. Which was I was going to see if it does that. I decided though, if you're editing a message, if you're a slow typer like me at 77, and you wait too long and it's timed out, when you hit send, it actually reconnects automatically to the BBS.
Yeah, because with Vara wanting only one connection at a time, you can't do multi-streams.
Yeah.
That's a good.
It's disconnected, so you're unlinked.
Yeah. And the other thing is the same thing on messages. If if you've been browsing the list here and go to click to read something, but up here you can see that the BBS is disconnected.
It'll just reconnect you. Yeah.
It'll automatically reconnect before it goes and downloads the message. Yeah, it just popped up saying connected, and I turned off the HT so you don't have to hear all the noise. But
very nice.
It should be downloading the message, maybe. Or maybe that's another bug to track down. Yeah.
I don't think that part worked for me. It reconnected, but it didn't bring the message in the version that I'm running. I haven't updated it.
Yeah, I haven't pushed this out to the GitHub yet, but software is available on GitHub. N4SD-VB or VAB or something like that.
Outstanding. Wow. Well, we're 2 hours into this, plus our wasted time during introduction. That's better than the Outpost presentation, to be honest with you. Mark, did you have any questions about this one?
No. Well, actually, I did. It's probably a pretty far out question and maybe applicable to Outpost as well. Is there an IMAP or a POP interface to this program so that people can use their regular email program like Thunderbird or Outlook or whatever you use?
Not that I've seen.
No, I looked at. I used Thunderbird for a while for VBS. Of course, I was using the network interface to BBQ since it's local here. I thought about writing a bridge, and now that I've written all this Vara interface, I'm not using KISS. I'm using the command and the data ports that are built into Vara. So,
well, I understand that, but you're absolutely right that the network interface to BPQ really is poor. It is
Mark,
really
one of the things that we ran into when Glenn and Charles were working on it, and I was talking to Charles, is that a lot of the legacy packet networks are not IP enabled. They aren't IP aware. And because we were going to talk about using Thunderbird to check bulletin boards and stuff. And then we realized, oh, well, Charles was doing it because he's connected across IP aware connections and ports. And when you're using a regular TNC and a radio, most people have just hooked it to their computer. It's not going to be IP aware. So but I see what you're asking about with IMAP and stuff
Yeah,
like.
see, but that's the point. This program Outlook Outpost, it does connect to the normal analog packet radio through the existing interfaces. But since it is standalone software, it could incorporate that kind of IP interface and support uh, POP or IMAP, at least for message origination.
Well,
It
Outpost
supports
can
Telnet.
go to Telnet, okay?
Telnet
Instead
it'll
of
do.
Yeah, instead of setting up for a TNC, you set it up for Telnet. Now, as far as personal mail is concerned, it will do POP3, and unless they've made a change recently, I stopped using that one over to Thunderbird because it was pulling my personal mail off my JNOS, and I wanted it to stay in my personal mailbox. And that's why I went over to Thunderbird and I used IMAP there instead, because JNOS is IMAP aware as of, geez, got to be almost 10 years ago when I had Myco chase down the code for that. We'll have to try it again with Outpost, but the last time I used it, it was only POP3. It'll suck down the message and delete it off your personal message area on the JNOS.
Yeah, that is POP3. That's what POP3 does. IMAP
Right.
leaves it where it is if you tell it to
Right.
do that.
So the
And
question
with
is
IMAP, you can have it on multiple.
Outpost right? So the question is Outpost IMAP aware now? I don't know if it is, and yeah, I just searched on the Outpost website, and it does not have the word IMAP in there at all.
Yep.
So I
Now
guess not.
the appeal of IMAP is not just the ability to use, say, Thunderbird on your desktop, but it's the ability to use an email program on your cell phone.
Yes.
Okay, so it's not just desktop we're talking about. And if we're looking to bring people in, you got to have something that will show up on their cell phone.
Yeah, and again, Mark, I think the problem we're going to run into is the packet networks. A lot of them are still so old and legacy, since they aren't IP aware.
Yep,
It's going to break there.
that's not the point. The point is that these newfangled programs being written to address that should incorporate the IP functionality. Forget about the existing networks. They're going to be the way they are. But if
Right.
you have a program like Outpost or N4SD's program, then that is the perfect place to put in the network connectivity, the network support.
Mhm.
So your argument starts to fall apart.
No, I'm not.
Okay,
I'm not
so that
to defend it. I was just pointing out what we talked about and discovered last night. Going, oh crap.
well,
You're
what we also discovered, Brian, was that Thunderbird by itself does not have the capacity to do an AX25 connection over RF to get connected to a BBS and then pull stuff across.
So
And it's going to
middleware.
be the same thing if you have a mail application on your phone. Okay, unless you've got some type of software TNC that'll act as a pass-through, then just the mail program by itself cannot do AX25 connections.
So
Right,
something.
and my point is that this is where Outpost comes in. This is where Sperry's program comes in. They provide that IMAP interface.
Right.
Okay, they become the middleman.
Okay. I agree with you that so that there's a middleware somewhere, and I'm not sure that we can't do that with something like Direwolf, or there isn't something already, because the AGWPE protocol, the KISS protocol and stuff like that might, and there's probably something out there that would act as that bridge, Mark. That's a good point.
No, Direwolf or AGW, any of those, that's a transport protocol.
Okay.
Okay, that is not a packet radio protocol, which is the packet radio BBS protocol as we know and love. So, the individual program, okay, it may support AGW, it may support KISS, it may support plain old AX25 KISS commands or non-KISS commands. That's all well and good. But once it's in that program, then the conversion takes place into IMAP.
Yeah, middleware. Yep, I get it.
Yeah. Okay.
And I agree that it needs to be done because again, all the people that are struggling with the old packet protocols and bulletin boards, that to them, that stuff is 30, 40 years old technology and it doesn't register with them and they have no interest in it. So I get your point that that's definitely something that is part of the bridging and yeah.
Yeah. Now, having said all that, one program to look at that runs on a phone, or at least Android, is something called WOAD, WOAD.
Yes.
It's billed as a WinLink program, but it also has a packet interface built in.
Okay.
So
Maybe
so that may be useful.
yeah, that may be the piece to do that bridging. Yeah.
Yeah.
iPhone has a really good two platforms now. One for WinLink and one for Packet Terminal on the iPhone. It's slick.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Good point, Mark. I mean, it's definitely yes, because then all the programs people are used to using can be bridged over to connect to our digital networks that are kind of non-standard in the rest of the internet type world. So
One
Correct.
of the
And
things that I was kind of hoping for was that, and you see it now when you're watching like the BPQ groups IO and stuff, that there's as things are progressing with Packet, it's getting busier and busier and busier. And I think when you throw this stuff out there and things are starting to get added again, BPQ got stale because nobody was using it, right? For the longest time. Now it's kind of, getting a new lease on life. And I wouldn't be surprised if it couldn't be a stretch. It's got POP and it's got SMTP. How much harder could it be to add IMAP to it? If somebody were to ask me to. And now that people are using it, we're more likely to be able to get some of that stuff.
excellent point, Mark. That's the bridging to the modern user that will cause.
so, Charles, you're not the only idea person here.
I never made myself out to be, Mark.
He said he's the pain in the ass coming up with ideas.
Yeah, I'm the pain in the ass person. I'm the nudge.
Oh, you're the PIA. Okay. N2NOV/PIA.
He's had that moniker for a long time in his life.
Oh yeah, you can ask Frank how long I've had a target on my back. I don't care.
This has been a very productive call. What else is that? What have we got from the group? Because we probably shouldn't run a whole lot longer. We're probably wearing people out.
Well, just a reminder that everybody who has a 44 net allocation, there is a VoIP PBX extension waiting for them if they want to use it. I mean, it's already been mapped out, so you just got to let me know.
All right. If I can have the floor for a minute, the PyWix program today, between yesterday and today, with all the severe weather that's been through southeastern Pennsylvania,
Getting a workout, huh?
and oh, it's got a workout. It did about 50 or 60 different alerts, ranging from tornado alerts to severe weather alerts, marine alerts, and we even got one or two from Florida. So that system is working, and if anybody's interested, give me a shout. I'm good in QRZ. If anybody wants to start receiving the bulletins, so give me a shout.
But they do work well. I do like them.
And perhaps, Brian, you might be interested. I could talk you into setting up a radio for Cooperstown.
Possibly. I have to think volunteering like that through because like I'm with my multiple software defined radios. I like listening around. I'm ruining the day that I agreed to have a packet node because I'm like, that thing would shut up. Because when your WeWix messages are being forwarded by Andrew and all that stuff, I'm just like, you're blowing out my software defined receivers. But
Well, get another receiver, if you want. Maybe I'll put the whole a whole kit together for you.
well, I'm not against it, no doubt.
Okay. Well, maybe I can talk Andrew into sending you up the one he set aside for Cooperstown.
Okay, because I thought he had one on there, or is he just running it on?
Well, I think he wound up not being able to receive Cooperstown very well.
Well, it was off the air for a long time. We just put a 500-watt transmitter up there. The Weather Service replaced it, so maybe he just needs to reactivate that.
Oh, well, maybe a bug in his ear will get that fixed.
I need to bug him because I think he took his Goes receiver down too. That was nice to be able to have that across the mesh. Used to be
Yeah.
getting. We use that for a lot of demos at club meetings. I know that.
Okay. Very good.
But if he needs a break from some of that, well, we're activating another tower site that the county built for us, and it would probably be good to put it right up there. It's a good permanent radio site that we've got a lot of.
All right. And if you can hear more than one transmitter from up there, that's even better.
Oh, it'll hear a lot of them from up there.
Yeah. Because one Raspberry Pi will do 3 radios.
Oh, it'll hear all the 3.
Yeah. Very good. All right. Well, we need to talk.
Okay.
Brian, is your copy?
No.
Another question?
No, Ted, I told you ran out of them a long time ago tonight.
You're familiar with round trip times on links?
Yep.
Okay, why do they vary considerably?
Because so the first one you see is going to be the local one. The second one's going to be the other.
I know that, but why sometimes they're 25 for 2 or 3 hours and then they go up to 200, 300?
Well, it could be a number of factors. One, it could be it's a shared frequency. So there's congestion on the channel, so it backs things off.
Yeah, that's not the case.
2, it could be co-radio interference on a node site, or there could be other high RF signals that are interfering with the radio on a site. There's a number of factors.
Does it have anything to do with the amount of traffic being sent down that link?
It can, because if they're not perfectly quiet frequencies where there's other things, it can be any other carrier, because you got to remember this is carrier sense multiple access. So anything causing the radio to hold off, whether it's RF interference, other packets, other data, or it could be on a simplex frequency, some other jamoke's using for his voice.
Well, this is on a 220 link that nobody else uses. So I know there's no interference. I thought it might be related to poor propagation or data being sent down.
Well, is this for the link to Long Island, or is this the one to EDH?
This is in Florida.
Okay.
On 220 going to Melbourne to Orlando.
Well, the one thing you got to remember about the 220 band is that the 219 to 220 is a lot of railroad traffic on there for PTC positive train control. They're using 2 megahertz, 219 to 220.
Yeah, possibly, but it's pretty quiet here. But that's a possibility. Yes.
Yeah, Ted. The other thing you're going to see on a link that long is propagation effects. It's not going to be the same during the day as it is at night.
Well, the funny thing is, it's the 3, 4, 5 days is just great, and then all of a sudden it goes up to 200 for an hour or two, and I'm just curious why that happens.
What time of day does it happen?
Any time of the day or night.
But and again, it could also be at the site. If there's other radios like a user port, it could be IF interference at the site.
Unlikely, but that's a possibility. Yeah.
Yeah, there's also a possibility there may be audio problems. Maybe somebody's audio is not set correctly.
Well, as I say, for 2, 3, 4 days, it's down at 25 milliseconds or 250 milliseconds, whatever that number means. And then it goes sky high for an hour or two.
Yeah.
Okay,
I hear that. But it's just a lot of different things. Sometimes you just have to be at the site and listen to it.
Yes.
And once you
That's
listen to it for a while, then you can hear what's going on.
Yeah, which I have done, and it seems pretty good. Okay, I'm just picking minds. Thank you.
Well, now, what else is on that site for nodes? Is there a user port? I mean,
One user port on 2 meters and one link on 220.
what radio or what computer is on that site?
What do you mean? It's a Dell computer.
And it's a URO node or what?
And Linux, yes.
So it could be, there could be RF generated from the computer, and it could be that the computer itself has got software issues that's causing,
Yep.
holding up and stuff.
The other thing you might look into is transmit delay, TXD.
Yeah, that's sitting at 30.
All right, well, bump it up to 50 and see what happens.
Good point. Thank you. That's a good suggestion.
You do that. Well, you need to make sure also they're matched on both ends.
That's correct.
But you may see improvements just with one end, so just because you can't do both at the same time doesn't mean you shouldn't try it.
That's right.
You should be able to have control at both ends if it's an EastNet link, because
Well, you would think so.
they're hidden transmitter free links, and we control.
I can do both ends, right? Thank you.
Do the remote end first, then do the one that you've got wireline control of. Don't ask me why I remember that so hard.
Good night, guys. I got to run. So
yeah, I got to run too.
Thank you to everybody. This is fantastic call.